Hello and welcome to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast, the show where two former roommates,
And they
Korbin
were
and Kody,
roommates.
give their unfiltered opinion on one movie every week. This week on the show, we're going to be talking about Grown Ups.
In 1978, they were the best of friends.
Everybody say championship.
Now they're getting back together for the first time in over 30 years.
Remember the guy I always tell you about, Rob?
Of course. Oh, and this must be your mother.
My wife.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. Oh, grody.
From Columbia Pictures, they're meeting each other's families.
Look at this.
Wow. Ooh, a porch swing. I know what I'm doing this weekend.
Yeah.
Learning about their kids.
Mommy, I want some milk.
Come here. We'll give you a little something. Your son is so cute. How old is he?
48 months. That's 4. Yeah.
And showing them how it's done.
That's it. No more video games. No more cell phones from now on. Stay outside and play.
What are we supposed to do?
You see a rope in a lake and that doesn't make you want to go nuts?
Class is in session.
Go, baby! Whee! Too high! This was a mistake! Let go! I can't let go! I'm too scared!
As always, I'm your host, Korbin Zvokel, and with me is my co-host, Kody Webb.
Yes, I'm here as well. We are not roommates anymore, which is kind of sad. Just realized that. And I believe this is episode 11. So
Episode 11 and season finale.
Cranking these out. Season finale as well. Yeah.
Season finale.
So, yeah.
So I think we'll take a little bit of a short break following this episode. Not too long, but maybe come back with some new categories, change things up a little bit, and hopefully some more guests. We're obviously in two different places right now, so the audio quality might be a little bit different. But with, doing this over Zoom, so we'd love to bring some more people on and get things going.
In theory, it should be easier to have more guests.
Exactly.
They don't have to come to us anymore.
True.
We're not in the same place, so everybody can just jump on Zoom and we're
exactly.
Going.
Yeah, I've got a buddy I work with this summer who also hosts a podcast, and his co-host lives in Chicago, and so they do the Zoom thing as well, and you make it work.
Everybody's got to make it work somehow. So, yeah.
Exactly. So let's get into it. Kody, why'd you pick Grown Ups for your movie this time around?
For the season finale, I want to do a special movie. No, Grown Ups. It's just sort of it's sort of my guilty pleasure movie. I feel like people say that all the time about movies, and it's definitely mine. I feel like most movies I've picked, I've said this, but I've seen this movie probably like 10, 15 times easily. And yeah, we were talking about it in like the movie draft and stuff. So I thought, we just continue that and just have like a fun episode to end the season.
Yeah, obviously a heinous crime was committed during the movie draft when I stole this movie from you.
That's true.
Looking back on that, how do you feel about that happening?
I still have nightmares about that most nights. But I was able to scrape out Grown Ups too. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I think if I got Grown Ups, I won that movie draft unanimously.
Yeah, that was probably the difference. Grown Ups 2 bogging you down. Looking back, I can't remember exactly, but I've seen some movies in recent times that have some pretty low Rotten Tomato scores that I probably could have taken over Grown Ups, but I don't know. It was a tough category for sure.
Well, movies.
I can't remember. There was something recently that I was looking at. I was like, oh wow, this is really low rated, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, so initial thoughts, Kody. Rewatching this movie for the 15th time, as you said. How'd you feel? Does it hold up?
From my standpoint, it does hold up. The comedy is obviously hit or miss. Also, I think after every joke, the actors just laugh about it for about 30 seconds, which it's sort of like a laugh track in a TV show. The more you watch it, the less you realize it's there. But I feel like maybe the first couple of viewings, that's really annoying. Also the plot, mostly just shenanigans. no solid story. It's just, you know, 5 hometown friends coming back together because their basketball coach died. Um, but I will say the one thing about it, it does surprisingly have a lot of heart. Like at the end where Adam's saying, spoiler alert, by the way, I'm sure people don't want this movie spoiled, but at the end where he like misses the shot on purpose to, you know, try to teach his kids how to lose and try to have, you know, the low lifes, you know, get a win for once. I actually really like that moment. I don't know if that's just because, you know, I like this movie and that's just the plot. But yeah, I think my initial thoughts are it's a solid comedy with, you know, Adam Sandler and his friends, which I feel like I think that we say that a lot, but just this ensemble, I don't really think we've seen that many times, or at least I haven't. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this movie. What are your initial thoughts?
I definitely agree with you. There's not a whole lot of plot going on in this movie. Not at least until like the third act where you finally like see the basketball game happen, and even that I feel like is super undeveloped. Like it's not even clear that it's gonna happen until like, oh, they're just playing a basketball game.
Yeah.
Because like the guy's talking crap to him early in the movie, but it seems like they're not gonna like rematch. But then all of a sudden it's the 4th of July and they're like, oh, we just got to have this rematch at this big celebration. You mentioned the ensemble cast, and obviously like I think we could all aspire to, you know, one day just take your, you know, 5-6 best friends and just make a movie and just roast each other for 2 hours or however long this is. So I respect the Sandman for that and all the included parties. It is essentially, like you said, a laugh track. It's 2 hours of just, you know, friends roasting each other back and forth, you know, who can one up the other one, come up with a better joke. I put before looking that there's probably, you know, like a 4-hour cut of this movie where it's just, you know, there's probably so much that was cut out. And when we get to trivia, we'll find the official runtime there. I do have it.
I'd watch that.
And then the final thing, something that I didn't realize because I hadn't seen this movie in a while. Cameron Boyce, the late Cameron Boyce of Disney Channel fame, is in this movie.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting to see, especially because I was surprised that following this movie he had a Disney Channel career, because I feel like this is kind of a pretty raunchy movie. It is PG-13, but I was surprised. I was like, oh wow, he was in this, and then he went on to Disney Channel afterwards, which was interesting.
There
to
might
me.
have been some overlap.
Probably
I don't know
a little
how
bit.
young he was in like Jesse or whatever. It's the only show I know him in. There's also Chris Rock's daughter in the movie. I think she's a Disney actor as well.
Oh really?
So I think there's a couple of them. Could be wrong on that, but yeah.
Jesse started in 2011, so, and this movie came out in 2010. So this was like,
okay, so he got a career.
Yeah.
From this movie,
I think he's decent in this movie. So, but
he's good. All right.
We'll move on to our first category. My favorite, as always, is the stupidest part.
You stupid.
They're not.
Of this movie. And the first thing is actually something that you mentioned. I have two things. First thing, something you mentioned in your initial thoughts, and I think it's so stupid that he loses the basketball game.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's just a real cop out. He's a chump. Come on, man, just hit your shot. You don't. Hey, Sandler doesn't miss. He doesn't miss those shots. He could have hit 100 in a row, and he just lets him win. And you know, it's heartwarming. It's cute. Oh, he lets the losers that have never left their hometown finally get a W. But
exactly.
Nah, no mercy. Just kill him.
Yeah, and I'll talk about that more in Kody versus. But yeah, I think if you don't buy into that ending, it is really dumb just on the surface. Like, dude, just win the basketball game. I don't understand. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of just like hit my heartstrings, you know, when I watch it. That's just me. But yeah, that is really dumb.
It's because you're that guy who loses every basketball game, right? So
no chance.
Someone finally letting you get a win you probably really would feel connected to that.
Tough. All right, I have a couple as well. So
okay,
I'll do my lower ones first. The obvious one I have is their game that they invented, Arrow Roulette. That might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And they were playing it as kids, which is even dumber. And then yeah, obviously I feel like the odds of the arrow sticking 2 guys in the foot on back-to-back arrow roulette games. That's pretty crazy as well. But my other lower one is like right at the beginning of the movie. Whatever's daughter name is, Becky, I think it is. She's answering the phone at their house. For some odd reason, they don't let the nanny answer it, or an actual adult. And then for some other odd reason, she just hops in a limo or something and like drives it across their yard. I have so many questions about this. First off, is the car locked? How'd she get the keys? She did get the keys. How does she know how to turn the car on? And once she gets to that point, did she just put it in neutral? Because she had to do the stick or something to get out of the park. So either this girl's like a driving genius, or that just makes no sense. So yeah, those are my little gripes with the plot, but nothing major there.
Yeah, what was the first thing you said was the
Arrow roulette.
The arrow roulette, yeah. The fact, I don't know how one of them doesn't die as a child. They're playing that as a child, and nobody ever get seriously injured enough, and then it's just now someone's getting stuck in a foot. It is a little interesting.
It sort of makes sense, but still not really. Yeah.
And then my other stupid thing is, so he obviously doesn't want to admit to his friends that he has a nanny or an au pair or whatever you want to call her, the girl who's basically watching his children. He doesn't want to admit that, and I understand that part, but I don't understand why he doesn't just tell the nanny what's going on. Like, hey, can you just pretend to be a foreign exchange student? Because he keeps being like, oh, you need to study, and she's so confused about what's happening, and it just makes it worse for him. All he has to be is like, hey, just play along. Like, I just think that's so dumb. It saved so much of saved him from so much trouble if he had just told her what was going on.
Yeah, I back that. Probably just the reason they had that in the movie is they couldn't really think of anything to do with the nanny.
Yeah.
So, and they wanted her in the movie. But yeah, that is dumb as well. My big one that I do have a problem with is the big product placement in the movie, which is the trip to the water park. I really don't understand this at all, because like they're going to leave that day, and then Salma Hayek's like, nah, we're staying, whatever. And then for some reason they want to leave this really expensive lake house. A lake house. There is a lake at the house, and they want to go to a water park. So they want to get rid of all the natural water and go to the fake water. That makes no sense in hell to me. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I think this was a very expensive movie to make, and like in the process, they're like, how can we cut the budget a little bit, because it's just Adam Sandler and his friends. They're like, oh, there's this really cool water park not too far from where we're filming. You could ask them to pay us a bunch of money and plaster their logos everywhere. Yeah, I just don't really like when movies go all out in product placement. And when you're literally at a lake house, I don't think there's any reason to leave that to go to a water park. But yeah, that's my dumbest part.
Which would you prefer, a day on the lake or a day at a water park?
Definitely a day on the lake.
I'm a water park man. Not much one for the great outdoors, but
I mean, they had like a boat, but they didn't know how to work it, so I guess that makes sense. They wanted a little more, danger involved in the water. But
I guess the rope swing tragedy affected them too much, so they needed to then go ride a zip line. If we want to talk about safety in this movie, that zip line is cool, but like,
oh, it never would be allowed. Yeah.
you hold
shut down in 10 minutes with that thing.
You got I don't know if I have the upper body strength to hold on for long enough.
That'd be scary as hell, dude.
Yeah, it would be very intense. And the whole movie is just kind of stupid, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what the movie is. Yeah.
All right.
Comedy.
We'll move on to our favorite character in the movie. You want to get us started with that?
She is very gorgeous to me.
I have two.
Yeah, I have a couple of honorable mentions. First off, just Lenny, Adam Sandler's character, super likable, probably the most likable in the movie. Just got a good outlook on life. Still pretty humble, even though he's like this big Hollywood agent. And yeah, I like that from Adam Sandler. Another honorable mention, Chris Rock's kid, the boy. I just like his one catchphrase where he goes, Zooey Mama when they're flying on the hot girl through the car or whatever. I thought that was funny. But yeah, my favorite character is Maya Rudolph's character. I think she was really funny. I don't know if she was actually pregnant for this movie. I feel like she was, and they just wrote it in. But all of her pregnancy jokes I thought really landed. At the beginning at the funeral, where Salma Hayek's like, "Oh, you look so good in your pregnancy," and she just has like the most deadpan response of, "What the hell are you talking about? I'm not pregnant." I thought that was good. And then yeah, just her relationship with Chris Rock and that character development. I'm gonna call it character development, even though that's a little sus. I like that as well. They go from just fighting constantly at the beginning with Chris Rock, with the reverse roles of Chris Rock being the stay-at-home dad. But I actually really like their relationship, where they sort of mended at the end. The whole nanny thing's iffy, but where they're like, "Oh, we do love each other, and we're just like fighting over petty problems." So yeah, I would say Maya Rudolph's character. I don't even remember her name, but she was my favorite character. So yeah.
I think there was a time when I wasn't a big Maya Rudolph fan, but she's really good. She's good in this movie. She's also in Bridesmaids. She's also really good. So pro Maya Rudolph personally.
She's the bride in Bridesmaids.
Yeah, she is the bride. She's not the bridesmaid, so
Exactly.
she's not the titular character. But Bridesmaids, good movie.
Yeah, Who's your picks?
So of the boys, my favorite is Eric, which is played by Kevin James. I think talking a little bit about character development, I think he has a little bit of an interesting arc where he's got the whole thing where he's coming in with the fancy car and he's paying for dinner, and in the end he's like, "Guys, by the way, like I got laid off, I don't have any money." And I like that. I like that character development there. I like that moment where he admits, because they're all having their kind of little come to Jesus moment. He admits that, "Guys, I didn't actually have all this money. My life's actually kind of sucky right now. I'm just trying to flaunt for you." And I really enjoyed that moment. And I do like Kevin James in this role, especially compared to like Paul Blart Mall Cop. I think because they play into him being like fat a little bit, but I don't think they go like over the top where it's like that's the only joke they can make about Kevin James. I think they're able to roast him in other ways and like find other ways to be funny and for him to be funny other than just like, "Oh, I'm the fat guy."
Definitely, yeah.
And then my other character of the rival gang would be Wiley, who is played by Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi is just always Steve Buscemi. Like anything I see that dude in is masterclass stuff. Just the fact that he rides the zip line with his feet is hilarious to me. And then obviously the end where his hands are up in the cast and they make the joke about the field goal being good.
All gold, yeah.
Hey, it's gold. I just love that.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah, I think those are two very good picks.
Thank you.
But yeah, you want to go into let's hear your least favorite character.
All right. So I'm gonna choose first of all Roxanne, which is Salma Hayek, Adam Sandler's wife.
Oh, wow,
in the movie.
Going after the big dogs.
She's pretty annoying for at least the first half of this movie.
She's
just about
pretentious, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And she needs to be brought down a little bit. Eventually she does, recognize that her kids are having fun, and this is really an important weekend for her husband and for her children to finally get away and experience like normal life. But definitely for the first half of the movie, she is very pretentious. Her only goal is to get to Milan. She doesn't care about this funeral. She doesn't care about any of these people that her husband grew up with. And then that's like her only role in the movie is to just like be the foil of like, "Oh, we need to get out of here." Then she decides to stay. And later she finds out that Adam Sandler's character, Lenny, had already canceled the tickets before she even decided to stay. And she gets mad about that, which I understand, but she's mad for like 2 seconds and then she just doesn't care anymore. And it's not brought up again, which I think is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, she goes from like screaming at him on the dock, and then 2 seconds later they're like hugging off to the side.
Yeah, it's like
everybody else fight.
It's definitely very uneven from her character, and I just don't like that. If she's gonna be, excuse the word here, if she's gonna be like a bitch for the first half of the movie, and then just be fine, not even care anymore.
I thought you were gonna say gold digger. But,
I don't think she's not a gold digger because she's got money too. I mean, I think she might be the real breadwinner in this family. It's her fashion show they're going to. Sure, he's an agent, but she's Miss Fashion. I've got another one, but we can flip flop here.
All right, I don't have like a major one. My thing for this category was just people who are in the movie just for one joke. And there's a lot of people in this movie for that. The first one that comes to mind is Gloria, the old lady. Basically,
just farts.
Yeah. No, not her. Well, she's also.
Oh, you don't mean the grandma? You mean the
Rob Schneider's.
No, I remember. Yeah. His girlfriend.
She's
yeah.
in it just to
be the old lady.
When her and Rob Schneider licking tongues and stuff like that. That's how she's.
It's very strange.
A couple of the other ones. The other grandma, and then Beans. I think his name's Beans. I could be wrong. It's the Kevin James little kid who, just like sucking on titties, which, it's funny. He's like 5 years old. But, character-wise, I would say he doesn't have a ton to do.
Bean is his name.
Oh, Bean. Beans is a better name. Who names their kid Bean? That would be a nickname. But yeah, Bean's my big reverse character. So tough on that kid. But yeah.
Yeah, they definitely hit that joke like multiple times. Probably 1 or 2 times too many. But
I mean, same with the grandma jokes. I mean,
definitely
talking about like, I don't know, granny panties, and then they're smashing in the treehouse at night. I don't know, dude. Interesting stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. My other least favorite character would have to be Marcus, which is David Spade's character.
What?
He's just there to be like a creep for the most of the movie. That's like his only role, and I won't stand for that. There's
a thin line between ladies man and creep, so yeah, I can back that.
I don't know if David Spade pulls off a ladies man. So that's why I'll put him as my least favorite.
I think at the beginning, the biggest red flag was he was sleeping from the waitress at Chili's who had a O.J. Simpson tattoo. So that just,
it's all downhill from there, honestly.
That screams creep to me, to be honest. But yeah.
All right. So move on to our next category. Who can act?
Wow.
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. You've touched on both my picks already. Kevin James, I think, is great in this movie. His physical acting, I think, is always good in most of his movies. Specifically in this one where he's in the kitchen doing like the twitchy thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look that up. It's actually really funny. But yeah, sort of what you were talking about. The switch of the character development at the end was good. Also, the tree rope scene is a classic. He gets all hyped up and then sort of just freaks out at the end. I actually think he's really good in this movie, just from a general standpoint, not just his physical acting. And then my other pick, which is my absolute favorite, which you did talk about as well already, is Steve Buscemi. He's in this movie for 5 minute tops, and he absolutely steals the show. Just bouncing off what you said. I mean, at the beginning, Wiley, I'm an animal. He goes down on his feet. That's classic. And then him at the end, all in a cast is great. Just his one-liners are solid throughout. And then the arrow roulette at the end, sticking him again, I think is a perfect ending for his arc and his character. Those are my 2 picks. Steve Buscemi. I mean, I can't think of anybody else in that role in this movie. Unreplaceable.
Steve Buscemi is probably like the most serious actor in this group.
Easily, yeah.
He's done some, pretty high profile drama roles. I mean, I'm a big fan of Reservoir Dogs, working with Quentin Tarantino and also working with the Coen brothers on a movie like Fargo. Definitely a serious actor. And,
who else is it? Maybe Salma Hayek? She hasn't been in that much.
Salma Hayek, I mean,
not really though.
I mean, you could make the case like Adam Sandler obviously has his serious roles, but
he's got like 2.
Yeah, I would say it is probably Steve Buscemi being the most serious.
Which makes sense. He's the best actor in this movie. But yeah,
sure.
Who's your picks?
My picks, Kevin James as well. Favorite character. Also, I think he can act really well. You hit on pretty much everything I had to say about that. And the other one, Adam Sandler. We all know Adam Sandler's a good actor. Doesn't ever usually get the respect he deserves. I mean, was great in Uncut Gems. I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but was really amazing in that role and couldn't even get a nomination for his work there. I think just because of the way he is perceived in Hollywood as only being a funny guy who can make dumb jokes like in Grown Ups, but he can definitely act, and whether it's something being funny here or a serious role, I think it doesn't matter. You're always going to get good stuff from Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he's definitely for Uncut Gems.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think Adam Sandler, he's never going to phone something in, or like he was here for this 100%. He was here for his friends, and definitely shows. I'll get us started with who can't act.
It's my opinion.
The first one I'm going to say is the grandma. Chris Rock's mom. I don't
bunions. That shot is disgusting. I can't even watch that shot.
I honestly don't even know the name of the actress. I don't care. You put anybody else in that role and it would be 100 times better. She's just this weird old cranky lady who has bunions and farts a lot, and yeah, I don't think anything very. I think Kody could have played that role. I've said it before in some other, but I would have rather seen it, honestly.
Yeah, are you gonna replace her at the end?
Well, I guess we'll wait and find out now, won't we?
You better. I expect a replacement. All right. My undoubtedly worst actor, the only one I have written down, is the main man himself, Bobby Rob Schneider. I don't know what this guy's doing in this movie. The toupee is a strange choice just straight off the bat. And then, I mean, his character actually has a good chunk of the story, towards him with his, failed relationships and his new relationship with Gloria. And then
his children.
Exactly. His failed relationships and then his daughter showing up and him trying to patch things up with that. For how much of the story he gets, he just plays it so unlikable. I feel like he's supposed to, but I feel like he plays it up too much. Like no one likes him, and like he'll never have any real relationship with his family and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of Rob Schneider in general in this movie. I just don't think he's good. It is funny to laugh at him at times, but I'm never really laughing with him, which I think you are at a lot of times in this movie.
How do you feel about Rob Schneider in Benchwarmers?
I haven't seen that movie for a while. From what I remember, he's a lot more likable in that movie. I mean, he's the main guy who's good at baseball. Yeah,
he's kind of a dick in the movie, though. But
yeah, he's a dick that one kid for sure he like bullied. But yeah, what do you think about Rob Schneider in this movie?
I also agree. He's not great in this movie. Rob Schneider, also an anti-vaxxer. So
big surprise there. We're never having Rob on the show, I guess.
Very outspoken for many years. Not even like a COVID thing, like just in general, does not a vaccine guy. So
maybe that's why they dumped him for the sequel. But yeah.
Good. Yeah, could be as well. I think David Spade is always the better part to Rob Schneider. In Benchwarmers he's better, in this movie he's better. And yeah, it's not great. And you're 100% right with talking about like how much he has to do in this movie in comparison to everyone else with his children, with the whole Gloria thing, and it just does not get pulled off very well. Then my other one is Colin Quinn. who plays Dickie Bailey, which is the antagonist of the movie. Yeah. I don't really know what he's trying to do here, to be entirely honest, because he's like kind of an idiot, but he's also just kind of a whiny baby and his character just like goes on and cries about how he stepped on the line, and then at the end of the movie he eventually steps on the line.
He's all over the line. Yeah.
He's all over the line, but I just don't think he's very good in this at all. I have no idea what he's doing. The direction is just confusing to me, and the choices he makes.
I don't think there's any way that's his real voice. It's definitely some sort of like hybrid accent that he's trying to pull off, I think.
It's not
just
good.
That from the beginning is just like, this guy just sounds like an idiot.
It's very off-putting.
I'm not gonna listen to anything he says, but yeah, I back that. He's super forgettable as well.
For sure. All right, now we're gonna move on to Kody versus.
Ding ding.
Kody, I'm sure you have a lot to say here, so why don't you get us started?
All right. I actually think this is really funny. So excuse me if I'm laughing a lot. I think it's an easy dub right off the top. First off, I'm way better at basketball than Adam Sandler. There's always videos of him like Barstool or Bleacher Report of him like balling with like those really long shorts. I mean, for his age, he's not bad, but it's Adam Sandler. So first off, I'm better in basketball. Second off, I don't really care that much about other people, so I'm not gonna throw the game at the end for this white trash family. No offense to them. So yeah. Also, if people are talking crap to me like on an intercom, at a restaurant, I'll be like, dude, let's go play one-on-one right now. I'm not gonna stand for this crap. I'll chuck threes all day with my foot like 3 feet off the line and just bang threes on your ass all day. So yeah, I think for a basketball movie, this is just easy money. I think his nemesis and their team is absolute dog piss. And I'm no Michael Jordan out here, but I can kick it a little bit. So yeah, I would say I get the win here. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you the win. I actually have an alternate thing I want to talk about a little bit here. It's a movie proposal. It's a movie pitch. So
yeah.
We give you, let's see, Adam Sandler. Let's say 20 years from now, maybe 15. You move away from good old New Carlisle, Indiana, but then
Carlisle,
you have to return because the wiffle ball cup is on the line. And you have to return, and you got to hang out with Colton and Aiden and Forrester and get all the boys back together, and you got to play some wiffle ball one final time, and then you lose.
I would watch that movie. I mean, yeah, if we had Vanna on the team, we would definitely lose.
That dude hates wiffle ball. I won't ever bring it up around.
He hates lots of things, not just wiffle ball.
He won't listen to this, so we can say anything about him.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you, Vanna. I hope you're not listening to this.
You're terrible. You've never won a Gold Glove. You're awful.
He did win a Gold Glove. All right, what we got?
Disputed.
Yeah, I'd watch that movie. I'd make that movie. Hell, put me in Hollywood, and you write off that script, I'll get it made. So
there we go.
I like
all
that.
Right. Someone has to die, I guess. So I don't know.
Who dies?
The coach. That's what brings him back.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Somebody's dad.
They burned down Migley Field, and you guys have to return. I'm sure Aiden would be very upset.
Long live Migley.
That aside, yeah, sure you win. So now we're gonna have a winning record. Yeah, definitely. We'll see if Kody versus returns in season 2.
Yeah, we might retire it because it's just too easy out here. So.
Yeah, Cody's too good.
Exactly.
Just you can't let him get too big of a head. He's winning too much. You got to bring him down a few notches. So we're gonna move on to what to add to Fortnite. I'll get us started with the first one. I think they have zip lines in Fortnite, but what they should add is water slides. So There's a lot of steep cliffs and things, and you could hop on a water slide and get right down the cliff very quickly. There's a lot of times you might be running from the storm. You might see some guys you're trying to chase after. So why not be able to get into a water slide down a mountain? You can't go back up, but you can go down the water slide. It's a little bit of a fun trip, gets you places quicker. And, maybe you can hop out and, do some trick shots or something, kill some people.
Yeah, I like that. And after you get off the water slide, your shorts have to like go up your ass like in the movie. But yeah, that's actually pretty creative. I have a couple. My first one is along the animal theme that we seem to have a lot in these episodes. It's other than the dog who barks like a turkey. I think just the audio on that would be really funny. And I think unlike the other animals in Fortnite who just attack you, I think this dog is a helper. So you get this dog and he's there, and when somebody's around you, he starts, barking like a turkey. So yeah, that's my first one. My second one, which I actually like a lot more. I can't talk today. Is the cup phone. I can't talk. The cup phones from the movie. I think sort of in the specific locations that have a bunch of houses, like Holly Hedges, goat location, or Pleasant Park, or no, that's not it anymore. Retail Row. You could have a bunch of houses, and like right next to the doorbell, but on the inside is these cut phones. You can actually like communicate with your teammates, saying like, "Oh, this is that." So yeah, that's my second one. I like the cup phone idea.
Fair enough. It's definitely. I don't know about the cup phones, but
I respect the cup phones.
I like the dog. My other thing is, somehow incorporating arrow roulette into the game. Maybe make it a mini game or something, or even, I think they should make it where if you like shoot an arrow straight up into the air, it comes back down or something. Like, it always comes down and hits something. So I'd love to play some arrow roulette with you, Kody.
There are like bow and arrows that's big this season. So
exactly, it fits right in. Yeah. All right, now we're gonna move on to replace an actor or the director. I only have one here. Why don't you go ahead and get us started?
I have two. Yeah, so we'll go back and forth. My first one, per usual, is just get rid of my least favorite actor. So let's get Bobby Schneider out. And you know what? Since Steve Buscemi is so good for 5 minutes, let's just stick him in Rob Schneider's role. I actually want a decent actor in there who can give me some depth and who has comedic timing. And I think if you just throw in Steve Buscemi, obviously cut some of the weird jokes with old lady Gloria, I think this would actually be a perfect role for Buscemi. Sort of a little bit on the outside, whatever, not gritty, but like sort of an oddball role, which I think is what Steve Buscemi does best, and that's what Rob Schneider's trying to do a little bit, but he doesn't have the chops. So yeah, that's my first pick.
Okay. My pick is actually to replace the director of this movie, and
Dennis Dugan.
Dennis Dugan, obviously longtime collaborator with Adam Sandler. Worked on Happy Gilmore, Don't Mess with Zohan, Big Daddy, like a ton of Sandler movies through the years. So I understand why he directed this movie. But I would replace him with Adam McKay. Are you familiar with Adam McKay at all, Kody?
Yes, I know. Anchorman, The Big Short. Yes,
absolutely. We'll read some off here. Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, The Other Guys, Anchorman 2, obviously The Big Short, Vice. Has a movie coming out on Netflix with Leonardo DiCaprio in it. I think later this year, so I'm looking forward to that. I think in those movies, and obviously he's worked with Will Ferrell a lot, so he's maybe the Will Ferrell version of Dennis Dugan to Adam Sandler. But I think there's, as dumb as some of those movies are, like Talladega Nights and Anchorman, as dumb as they are,
we should do Talladega Nights or Step Brothers. Those are great movies.
As dumb as those movies are, they are very funny. I prefer that kind of comedy to the Adam Sandler kind of comedy a little bit. I think there's a certain level of sophistication that comes along with it. I think it's just a little bit smarter in the ways that it is stupid to me. And I think in all those movies, there's a lot more of a plot than anything in this movie or in a lot of, those type of movies, Don't Mess with the Han, whatever it may be. So I think the plot is a lot more existent in an Adam McKay work. He also wrote or did at least some writing on the Ant-Man script, which I think is very funny. And I do enjoy Ant-Man a lot. So I think when it comes to taking a real story and being able to, do comedy really well, I think Adam McKay would be the perfect person for this role. And then obviously with movies like The Big Short, we see that he can like be a serious director as well. Like is a very good, like honest director. Like the direction in The Big Short is some of the best directing of, I think the past decade easily. So I just think this movie can't get worse with him as the director, in my opinion.
No, I back that. Yeah, obviously The Big Short's one of my favorite movies. And yeah, like I was saying before, everything he's made is at least decent. And Dennis Dugan can't really say the same. So yeah, I'd watch that movie. But my other pick is to get rid of the no-name bad guy, whatever his name is. And interestingly enough, you're talking about Ant-Man. Let's throw in Paul Rudd. Make him the bad guy. I think Paul Rudd is good leading man, but I think he's a better supporting cast member more than anything else. The role that really stands out for me is him in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
No.
He's like he's a surf instructor. Really funny role. But yeah, I just want somebody who's memorable in this villain role, who's a little bit over the top at times. Can actually hurl some insults at Adam Sandler, and I think Paul Rudd would be perfect for this movie, especially if Adam K's directing, because of the old Anchorman connection and stuff. But yeah, that's my pick.
All right. We're gonna take a brief break here. I'm gonna send Kody a YouTube link to something called Paul Rudd's Computer, and I'm gonna have Kody watch it, and I encourage everybody to watch it as well. And we're back. Kody, how do you feel about that?
I don't really know what the fuck that video was. Why'd you want me to watch that? It's just Paul Rudd being an idiot.
Yeah, that's Paul Rudd for you.
You want Tane to be the villain?
I think I'd be okay with that. Put Tane in. All right, we're gonna move on now after that to our. There's 2 minutes of your life you're never gonna get back, and
Yeah, that's true.
I felt the need to share that with you, and I hope all of our loyal listeners out there get to experience the beauty of Tane. All right, Paul Rudd's Computer. Moving on, we're gonna move on to our IMDb trivia section.
Naked grandma. Naked, huh?
I don't have a lot here, but I do have some interesting facts I'm gonna come at you with. First of all, after the movie premiered, Adam Sandler bought each of his fellow cast members, Chris Rock, Kevin James, Rob Schneider, and David Spade, a brand new Maserati.
Damn.
Rock appreciated the gift, but said it made him feel like Adam Sandler's bitch. So, very Chris Rock thing to say there, but brand new Maserati. I mean, hell, that's
Nice,
yeah, probably buying all those is about how much money this movie made.
This movie made a crap ton of money, so that's fair.
Sure. Adam Sandler wrote and was set to release this movie in the mid 90s, and it was actually going to have Chris Farley playing the Kevin James role instead of Kevin James. Obviously, Chris Farley passed away in 1997, and they had to halt production plans, and then they didn't, go on to make this movie for almost, a decade and a half later. So,
That's crazy.
what do you think? Chris Farley in the Kevin James role, better, worse, same?
Would have been good, yeah. Prime Chris Farley. I'd watch that.
Yeah. Going back to what I talked about in the beginning of the movie, the first cut of this film was 3 hours and 12 minutes long.
Oh my god. Wonder why they didn't release that.
Yeah. Can't imagine why. They probably could have cut this movie about half an hour shorter and it would have been better, but And then we talked about him earlier, Dennis Dugan, but this is Adam Sandler and Dennis Dugan's fifth collaboration together at that point. I think they obviously made more movies following this one, but this was their fifth movie together. So
Yeah, it's interesting. No, I feel like nobody really knows who Dennis Dugan is. Yeah, he's made a crap ton of movies with Adam Sandler, so yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
I have a couple IMDb points as well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I definitely wouldn't have known who Dennis Dugan was unless I looked it up. But I think that it's a little bit true to what this movie is, in the sense of here's Adam Sandler with all of his friends making a movie, and he's got Dennis Dugan as well, so who is obviously someone he respects. Well, yeah.
True. My first IMDb point is sort of just a strange technicality that I found myself in a rabbit hole on the internet, and it revolves around would the 3-point line have been in existence during their city championship run or whatever, because there is a 3-point line in that game, and the conclusion I came to is no, there would not have been a 3-point line. So this movie is false. Basically, back then they were playing everything by twos, and I believe in this movie they are playing everything by twos because the score is like 51-50, and then he hits the shot and it becomes 52-51. So it doesn't matter if his foot's on the line because there are no 3-pointers. That's just a basketball gripe from me, because obviously the 3-point line wasn't brought into the NBA till like the early 80s, and then like high school in like the mid 80s, and I think the beginning of the league is like 78 or 79, so it wouldn't have been there. Also, I did just want to bring up the Rotten Tomatoes score again, which we did talk about in the movie draft, but this movie has an 11% from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is brutal. Obviously, this isn't an Oscar picture out here. It's not going to be up in the 90s, but I would say around 50, 45. I think that's a normal Adam Sandler score. For it to be 11%, I think is a crime, especially compared to its audience score, which is at 62. Which, I mean, that might even be a little high, but I mean, compared to the 11, that's just insane to me. But yeah, those are my two things.
Yeah. Do you know like exactly how the Rotten Tomatoes score works, or are you familiar?
I mean, the critics one, yeah.
Well, so the way it works is it's not like a aggregate rating out of 100, where like if I'm a critic and I want to rate this movie a 59 and then you rate it a 65 and somebody else rates it, it's not an average score of those things.
Yeah, I know. It's did you think it was fresh or rotten?
Yeah, so it's basically the percentage of people who give it a positive or negative review. So they go out and they find reviews that people have written and then determine, is this positive, is this negative, and they found that 11% of the people who reviewed this movie on a commercial professional standard enjoyed this movie, while 89% did not.
I mean, compared to the other Adam Sandler movies, though, that's what I'm saying.
Definitely not great. Rotten Tomatoes is not a great necessarily way to look at how a movie's viewed.
Obviously not.
I'm pretty sure recently, I believe Paddington 2, yeah, we talked about it, overtook Citizen Kane. And speaking of ratings, here we go. We're about to give ourselves this movie a rating of our own.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong? It's my favorite.
I have a feeling mine might be a little bit lower. So out of 69, Kody, what do you give this movie?
Oh, no, you go first. We gotta end on a positive note here.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to give this movie the lowest score of the season. For me,
you're full of shit. Let's hear it. Go.
It is my least favorite movie thus far that we have watched, and if we're being honest, by a good decent amount. So currently, my lowest scoring movie is The Princess Bride. I'm really just attacking your childhood favorites here. My lowest scoring movie was The Princess Bride at a 40.
Oh my god, you give that movie a 40? What is wrong with you?
This movie is significantly worse than The Princess Bride, so I'm gonna have to put it down at a 30.
Oh wow.
Which if we're gonna do a percentage here, is actually a 43.5%. So
Hey, higher than Rotten Tomatoes.
higher than Rotten Tomatoes. All right, what do you got for it?
You gave it a 30 out of 69. I'm not going to give it in the 30s or the 40s. This is a mid 50s for me. I believe I put Her at
57.
57. Yeah, so I'm gonna go below Her. I don't really have a bunch of middle ground. I was sort of talking about that on that episode. I have The Last Jedi way below. Everything else is pretty high. So yeah, I'm going to go with a 53 for this movie. Sort of like I was saying before, just it's my guilty pleasure movie. It's either hit or miss comedy. You're either gonna, not like this movie at all, or enjoy it. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair score.
So that's a 77%. So it's a C. How do you feel about that? Giving your movie a C.
C's get degrees.
C's get degrees.
I mean, I'm not saying this is the best movie of all time at all. I'm just saying this is something, I like to casually enjoy at different stages in my life. So, yeah, I think that's a very fair score.
Okay. So obviously we're here at the end of the season, and I've done a little bit of sorting, and I figured we could go over, what we rated each movie real quick, and just, look at where things stand. What are the favorite movies of season 1, and what are their least favorite? So, Kody, what do you think the favorite movie was? Do you have any idea?
Off the top of my head, I mean, I think I gave the highest rating to Moonlight.
Yeah.
And that probably was my favorite movie that we did. The other one's up there. Maybe The Departed. I'm not sure how our scores went for that one, honestly.
Yeah. So I'll just go from top to bottom here. Highest scoring movie of the year was Moonlight, with an average of 66 out of 69. So obviously very high.
It's very well deserved there.
Then The Departed was just below it with a 62.5. Wow, and then we actually have Gone Girl and Her tied for our third place spot with a 57.5 each. And then after that, Fast Five, The Princess Bride, Holes, The Last Jedi, Spider-Man, and Grown Ups right at the bottom with a 41.5 average score for us.
What was the next lowest?
The Last Jedi and Spider-Man are actually tied for a 43.
Okay, so Grown Ups wasn't too far behind.
Yeah,
that's
so
respectable.
Not too bad.
I think in hindsight, maybe Fast Five should have been like higher than Her. But yeah, I think our ratings are pretty accurate on where these should be scaled up to be. What do you think?
Yeah. So obviously your third favorite movie of season 1 was The Princess Bride, and I gave that a rather low score, so it got dropped down quite a bit. But I think we're at a good spot. We had a little bit of parity from 66 to 41. Pretty interesting stuff, and looking forward to the movies we do in this next season, and looking forward to having some people come on, maybe introduce us to some new movies as well. So
what's one movie that you're definitely gonna pick for next season?
I got my list here. Just pull it up real quick. Definitely gonna pick. Well, I think School of Rock is definitely a season 2. Gotta get School of Rock on there.
I haven't seen that either. Yeah, that's a good one.
Otherwise, I think it'd be cool to talk about maybe Looper or End of Watch. I know I always tell you about End of Watch. So I think End of Watch would be a fun one.
The one that I'm definitely gonna do is Arrival. I always talk about that movie as well. Have to do Arrival. But yeah.
All right.
I think this is a good wrap for season 1. Solid
yes.
episode.
So as always, we'll finish. It's actually been a long time since we recorded our last episode, so I'm sure you've gotten a chance to watch some things recently. What have you been watching? What do you recommend? What are your thoughts on things you've seen recently?
I've not been watching a ton, to be honest. I've been rewatching Survivor again, just the classics, Also been watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia still. I've not sat down and actually watched a movie in a while. Probably been about a week, so I might get back on that train. I've been thinking of watching X-Men Days of Future Past. That's one of my favorites. But yeah, other than that, not a ton to recommend. How about you? I'm sure you've been on a grind recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at 99 movies for the year. About to hit the big 100 for the year. So yeah, I've watched a decent amount of movies, especially in these last 2 weeks. Being back home, summertime is going to be the big time. First of all, I want to say that on Friday night I will be making a return to movie theaters to go see A Quiet Place Part 2.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. Definitely. I think that's the perfect movie to see in a movie theater. Obviously, we went to go see Tenet like last September. Because things were opened back up in West Lafayette for a little bit, and we were able to go to the IMAX where there wasn't a ton of people and be pretty spread out from everyone. But I think this is a really good movie to see in theaters for the first time. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually a couple of days ago rewatched Arrival. I showed it to my mom or to my parents, and my mom was crying at the end of the movie. So,
dude, that movie. The second time I watched it, that movie made me bawl, dude. I'm not a crier either, but that is a good freaking movie.
It is so much better on the second watch because that was only the second time I had seen it. I did hit that with well, I won't tell you what I gave it because we'll talk about it. Some other movies. I watched the Mortal Kombat movie. It's not great, but they do give a shout out to Gary, Indiana in the movie. It's a location. Wow. So nice. Thought that was pretty interesting. Tonight I watched Nomadland, the best picture winner from 2020. It was okay. It was all right. I'm very excited to see Eternals though. Were you able to check out the trailer for that?
Yeah, I think thinking about that movie that's making me more excited is Chloe Zhao behind the helm, especially from that trailer. Just, the cinematography is an obvious thing. Yeah, I think her directing style is actually really interesting to bring into the Marvel universe. The trailer obviously is just a teaser, so it's not going to give a ton away. I like how there's multiple Game of Thrones actors as well. I think that's really funny. But yeah, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I'm super hyped for it. I know one of the things that she really pushed for was to do a lot of like on location shooting, because like movies like Infinity War, Endgame were almost entirely shot like on a sound stage on a green screen. Yeah. And she like very, very much wanted to, shoot in real locations. And, just from the trailer, like you can see some of the beautiful landscape shots. And I'm very excited for that. Just throwing some other movies out. I watched True Grit and No Country for Old Men. Shout out to the Coen brothers. Both two really good movies. I did enjoy True Grit, so I appreciate the draft pick from Jake on that one. Watched The Terminator for the first time. Have you seen The Terminator?
Really?
Yeah.
You seen Terminator 2?
No, I will watch that soon. I know it's.
Oh, we got to do that for season 2.
Okay, maybe I'll wait. God. I'll save it. I know it's one of the great sequels of all time. People talk about it a lot.
Best. I think it's better than Empire.
Really? Wow.
Bold statement. Yeah.
Have you seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
I've not.
Good movie. Watched that recently. And then I also watched the new Zack Snyder film, Army of the Dead, which I will say do not watch. Don't waste your time.
So that's the one with Dave Bautista.
Hey, Dave Bautista, that dude is. Hey, you picked him to be in a movie. He is an action star, and I do like Dave Bautista, but my God, the rest of that movie is awful.
I won't check it out.
do not watch. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and could have been easily hour 40 minutes. I saw a reviewer say, "Army of the Dead." You don't need a Snyder cut because this is 100% through and through Snyder's vision. There was no oversight. There was nothing holding this man back. And I definitely agree with that. It's not great. All right. That's all I got. No official timeline on when season 2 will be released, but look for it here in the coming weeks. Check out our social media pages at KHAP Podcast and be on the lookout.
Yeah, I'd say just follow us on Instagram or on Twitter, and you'll definitely be informed when the next season starts. So, yeah.
Yep. Thanks for joining us this season, joining us this episode. Really appreciate it. Learned a lot, for making a podcast and doing everything, and we really appreciate it, guys.
Stay capping.
Stay capping. Peace.